What up, cool people? What's going on? How are you out there? Yes, you, and all the children and cats and dogs and everybody that's just looking at the screen wondering who this handsome fella is sitting next to this perfectly coiffed gentleman. Well, guess what? My name is Big Dave. That person over there is Will the Go Gottlieb, and this is the CHGO Bulls podcast. Thank y'all for joining us and hanging out with us, man. Of course, on the ones and twos is our guy, DJ Joey Spath is back there. Joey, you know why you're my guy?
Well, I mean, I know that we've developed a great relationship over the last 2.5 years, but no, what is the specific answer you're looking for?
It's a myriad of statements right there. There's a lot of reasons why you're my guy, but one reason you're my guy is because I know you won't diss me and leave me hanging at the end and just go do something else and take care of a goldfish and leave me to do a show by myself. You wouldn't do that.
Why?
Just me poking at Will because it's fun to do.
But it was much appreciated.
No, bro, I got your back. You should know that, man. How are you doing?
I do know that. That's why.
Goldfish?
Yeah, I was taking care of a friend's goldfish this weekend. I had to. No, I was taking care of a friend's puppy, and so they had to. Something happened with their car, and they had to get out of town sooner than they thought. Or
hey, that's
later,
understandable.
Yeah,
that's understandable.
And
it's a 4-month-old.
I've been there before.
It's friggin' huge, and he's super sweet, super friendly, but needs to be monitored at all times because he's either tearing something apart, peeing or pooping on something. Just an absolute menace to society.
So this is the dog version of me? Is this what you're saying? That's what it sounds
I guess. Like. I mean, I don't know.
You got to watch out for me. You know,
got to watch out.
If Will's not watching out for
I
me,
trust you more than I trust that dog, though. I'll tell you that.
Ooh, I don't know if that's saying a lot, but yeah, that's saying something right there.
But it was fun. It's just a lot of work.
Okay.
But it was a good weekend.
Okay, that's good. Joey, yours? A good Texas weekend?
Yeah, great weekend. Great Friday night. Got dinner with a friend. Texas plays on Saturday. So, although they were 33-point favorites, I had to watch every snap basically of that game. So that one ended with a 52-point win for the Longhorns. Looking forward to
Colorado State, correct?
In the business.
Correct. Looking forward to this weekend.
The business, yes.
Against University of Michigan.
Okay.
Team up north, as some call them. And so... yeah, we could talk about that later. But yeah, good weekend, good Labor Day. Saw baby Joey last night.
Hey.
Saw George and Lisa. So yeah, all good with me. Appreciate it.
That's wonderful, man.
How about you?
That's good to hear. I was having a great one right up until DirecTV decided to get rid of the main channel that I have cable for, which is ESPN. And then along with ESPN, they get rid of the Disney Channel, and then they get rid of FX, and then they get rid of National Geographic, and they get rid of ABC7. So just basically all stuff that I look at and I check out, except for the Disney Channel. But all the things I look at and watch, they got rid of.
The reason you have cable.
Yes, the main reason. So I'm going to tell you right now, you got a week, DirecTV. You have 1 week. If Monday Night Football is not on my screen, I'm out. I can't wait around, dog. This is no games. We're playing no games. This is football. So, I've been waiting for this. Been waiting for football, Will. I want it, and I want it now. Come to the tailgate we're having on Sunday. It's going to be amazing. Kevin, you going to be at the tailgate? Kevin will be at the tailgate. Thumbs up from him with all that glorious head of hair of his as well, man. Rivaling Will, the GOAT, Gottlieb. But we got stuff to talk about today. We're going to get into a trade scenario. Will's favorite thing right here to discuss. Figure we bring this up, man. A Zach LaVine trade to the Heat. We will get into that. And also, Hoops Hype has released their top 30 centers in the NBA. We will let you know where Joey Spathis guy, Nikola Vucevic, has ended up on that list. But first and foremost, before I get into those things, I want to send a big shout out to our guy, Alex Caruso, because Alex Caruso also did something this past week that is really, really an awesome thing. That man got engaged. Congrats. Look at this man right here. Congratulations to Alex Caruso. getting engaged, making the move, finally getting married. All that said to me is his contract is about to be fat. That's what that said to me right there, man. But congratulations. Look how happy that man was.
Things are finally looking up for him. He's playing for a championship contender.
Question: did he receive a $38,000 stipend from the Korean government to do this? Or?
Well, it's the South Korean government.
South Korean government.
And we'll have to look into that and see. That is some
North
weird
Korea's
timing.
not giving anybody.
Yeah, North Korea.
If anybody's strapped for cash,
Yeah. I mean, he's
South Korea will pay you to have a child.
One more year. South Korea will give you a check, though, to get married and have children. But I think Alex is going to stay here. He's got to play for OKC and the Thunder. But congratulations to him, man. He looks
He's
very
from
happy.
Texas. That's close.
Yeah. Close.
He's in the South.
Yeah. He's right there.
Closer to home.
Okay.
He's very close with his family. I don't know. I think, and like I said, he's going to be playing for a team that has like legitimate title aspirations. So good for him, man. Everything's looking up.
Yes. And also, hey, Julia, I wanted to talk about what this young man has done right here.
Speaking of Caruso.
His survey that he has put out, the Will the Go Gottlieb Bulls survey that all fans can participate in. Is this right?
This is right. I just made a poll on Twitter. It's actually a thread of different polls. I am leaving it open for the rest of the week. But basically, I feel like we get on our chairs and we talk every day about how we feel about the Bulls offseason.
Yeah.
And the whole point of CHGO is that it's supposed to be a community. And so I wanted to get your thoughts, people who watch every day, who comment, who follow along on Twitter or wherever else they follow along. But it's just basically a list of questions asking how you feel about the moves that were made by the Bulls front office this offseason. So we're going to leave it open for a couple days. I'll probably do a write-up on the results. Maybe we'll talk about the final results next week. But should we just go through some of them right now quickly to get people a little bit excited about it?
Joe, you can answer some of these as he goes through them, sir. We'd love to know your response to a couple of these.
So it's pretty simple. The first one is just rate the Giddey for Caruso trade. The options are dislike, neutral, or like, and then for all these you can reply with other as well. But right now, dislike is leading the pack at 38%, neutral 36%, like 25%. That's actually higher than I thought it was going to be.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I thought more people were going to dislike this. The next one is who would you have taken with the 11th pick? Buzelis, Topic, Carter, other. Far and away, 92% have gone Buzelis. No surprises there.
Yep, he's our guy.
He's our guy.
Joey's on it.
Rate the Patrick Williams contract.
Okay.
Dislike, neutral, like. 43.8% leading the way with neutral. 35% like it. That's second place.
Oh, really? Dislike in third.
I got
Dislike
like
in third.
I got like on that one.
You got like on
I
that?
got a like on that one.
Like the money and everything on that?
Yep. Think it's a team-friendly contract for a guy with a good upside.
Okay.
Value deal. Number 4, rate the DeMar DeRozan sign-in trade. Dislike 24%, neutral 41%, like 32%. So most people feeling neutral about that one.
Well, yeah, it's DeMar DeRozan.
It's DeMar. I feel like the options were, and then the last option was should have kept DeRozan, meaning should have figured out a way to make sure that he was on the teams next year.
Right.
That only has 2.5%. So people are feeling neutral about it.
Yeah.
Less because of the fact that they wanted to keep him and more, I think, because they weren't necessarily thrilled with the return.
Right.
Thought maybe they could have been the team that got in the first or whatever it may have been.
That's logic. That makes sense. I like it.
Number 5, how would you handle the Zach LaVine situation? Rehab his value and trade him later. Leading the pack far and away with 80.4%. 12.3% of people want to attach picks to dump him. And 6% want to keep him long term.
Interesting. Are you surprised by that? Because it feels
No.
like people would just rather want to get him out of here and not.
I do think ultimately people want to get him out of here, but when push comes to shove and you have to decide, am I going to attach 2 first-round draft picks to get rid of him? I don't think anybody's actually doing that. So,
all right.
To me, 80% is about right.
Okay.
The next one, Jalen Smith's contract. How do we rate that? Most people liked it. 59% of people like it. 33.5% are neutral, and 7.5% dislike it.
Mm-hmm.
And then some more kind of philosophical ones. How do you feel about a full-scale rebuild? The options: morally opposed.
Morally opposed.
5.2% of votes so far. I would prefer a retool instead of a rebuild. 18.7%.
Okay.
It's the only way forward. 74%.
Joey, you feel it's the way.
I think the group consensus nailed it on that one.
It's the only way. Okay.
This is the way.
This is the way.
And by the way, over 1,000 votes on these so far. So make sure that you guys go check this out. It's on my Twitter. And then number 9, and then I also had a bonus one. I said 9 originally, but I thought of a good one after, thanks to our guy Salim.
Okay.
Number 9, though, how do you feel about the Bulls front office? 60% of people are ready for a change. 33% are willing to wait and see. 5% are optimistic.
That sounds like 50-50 to me, honestly.
Optimistic and wait and see.
Yeah, like for real. That 60% is shocking. Like for me, I thought it would be much higher than that.
Yeah.
That people would be done with that. I didn't expect them to feel like I do, which is just, let's see. Give me another year or two, and then I'll figure it out.
The question is like, and we can talk more about this next week when we really break it all down. But like, I think there's always a question of like, okay, is your front office going to rebuild? If so, are they the ones that should do it, or retool, or whatever it may be? Are they the ones that should do it, or should you bring in new people, new eyes to handle it? And I think since they've kind of started this process already, I can see why some people would be like, yeah, it's time to get new eyes on it. This group had their chance. They did their thing. It didn't work. Now it's time for change. The roster doesn't need to be the only thing that changed. It's also time for the front office. I get that perspective, but I also think a lot of people are a little bit more willing to just see how it goes. So, and then the last one is, how would you rate your interest level in the Bulls for the upcoming season? Okay. Is it less interested than usual, more interested than usual, or a normal level of interest? Right now, less than usual is leading the way with 50.4%. Normal level of interest, 40%, and more interest than usual, 11.2%. So that one's interesting. I think it's just interesting to get kind of a temperature check on the fan base. Are they excited about watching Josh Giddey and Buzelis? Are they not excited about, being a much worse team this year and one that potentially doesn't really have like a clear avenue towards we're going to be a top 6 seed again in the next 2-3 years?
Yeah, I think I don't know if my excitement level's over the roof, but I'm kind of like right here and probably tick a little bit like that. Because I'm excited just to watch Modest Buzelis, you know that. But I'm interested to watch what Josh Giddey can do on the floor, and I'm interested in the fun bad of this team. I'm interested to see what Kobe White can grow into, if he's going to grow anymore. What Ayo Dosunmu is going to look like this season. Is Julian Phillips going to impact it? Is Dalen Terry going to hit some threes? Like, all that stuff excites me to want to watch this team and make me want to watch them. Now, truth be told, I'm a fan, so I'm going to want to watch them regardless. But my excitement levels, they're not low. I'm like, sure, I know what I'm walking into. You know what I mean? I know the minefield that I'm stepping on right here. So I'm excited to see what they look like and what these young guys can do and what they can become, man. That's exciting to me.
Yeah. I think there's part of it is like, I'm excited that it's a different team, right? Sure. It's not going to be the same group that was underachieving for the last 3 years that we're going to sit here and have to watch again for another full season.
Sure.
So in that sense, I am excited, but I do think that there's something to be said for this kind of overhanging concept that like this team doesn't really feel like it's on a trajectory right now. It feels like they've gotten younger, feels like they've gotten maybe a little different, but I don't know how much like more interesting or more upside there is in this group, short-term and long-term. And I think when you go through this constant cycle of, this thing tops out at mediocre, you got to pull it back and start over. Tops out at mediocre, got to pull it back and start over. It's just exhausting. And so I get not wanting to have a full rebuild. I also think that that's how you end up in that cycle when you don't fully commit to getting a bunch of assets that you can build forward with. And so that's kind of where we are. And I think that there's definitely some fans that feel like their interest in the Bulls is waning. And we've seen it with guys like Marquet, who's just like less interested in this team than ever, to the point where he didn't really want to keep doing this. So obviously other stuff going on, but I think that's a fair way to feel about this current group.
Is there one of those questions there that you kind of figured would be the answer that has not shown to be the answer so far? The shock of Will the Goat Gottlieb that made your quaff say what?
No, I don't think so. I think most people, I think I may have skipped one. Number 7. Yeah, I forgot to read this one off. Number 7, how should you approach the season? Aim for the play-in or playoffs, tank for a Cooper flag or other. 85% of people want to tank for a flag. I think that definitely makes sense. I think there's a smaller group of people that are like really just vehemently against rebuilding in general and like don't want to ever do it.
Sure.
But I think it was maybe a little bit surprising to see only 5% of people with that answer, just because I understand like the concept of losing for the sake of being bad is like pretty reprehensible to some people.
Yeah. Nobody just wants to be outright losing,
especially when they've completely lost faith in that process due to the results of the previous rebuild.
Sure. It makes sense, man. All right, we're gonna take a break here, and when we come back, we are gonna get into this Zach LaVine trade idea. This Zach LaVine to the Heat trade idea. We're going to read it off for you. We're going to see what Will the Go Gottlieb feels about it and if it can actually be a thing. Will will tell us all.
But first, we got to tell you guys about our friends at Circa Sportsbook because we are days away, 2 days away from NFL football. Thursday night is happening to us quickly. And if there's one place that you want to bet on games, that would be Circa Sportsbook, because whether it's pro or college, the app to bet football is Circa Sports Illinois. Circa Sports, it's a sports betting the way it should be. Circa Sports Illinois has high betting limits, low holds, and exceptional customer service. That's right, we know. They don't hit us with the dreaded chatbots. It's the real people who run the resort and casino in Las Vegas that graciously hosted us the other month as we were there for Las Vegas Summer League.
Thank you.
You can bet on all your favorite teams in every single season. They've got their spreads, props, futures, in-game. Circa Sportsbook has it. Fund and bet like a pro from anywhere, anytime in Illinois. Download your new bookie today at circa.com. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Oh, dulcet tones. Also, what keeps those tones dulcet is because he embraces chill. Keeps a chill mind state. And guess what he does that with? It's an icy cold Coors Light. Because between work, social media, and the choices life throws our way, it's no wonder we're more worked up. Coors Light celebrates rising above and choosing a chill mindset. Why not turn that rained out barbecue into the Will the Go Gottlieb 4th annual karaoke house party? So many of them, we just restarted the numbers. Or you can, after a tough loss, settle scores with an ice cold peace offering. Make the choice to choose chill, then reach for a cold Coors Light and its mountain cold refreshment. Because when those mountains turn blue, oh yes, you know what to do. Because it's as cold as the Colorado Hurricanes. Cold lager, cold filtered, and cold package for a smoother finish. So when you embrace a chill mindset, it's a good time to choose chill and crack open that Coors Light, crisp and refreshing as the Colorado Hurricanes. Make the most of your times to choose chill and choose a Coors Light. Get it delivered straight to your door via Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/CHGO basketball. That's CoorsLight.com/CHGO basketball. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Joey, I can't see. I saw somebody saying something to me about DirecTV, but I can't see it on the screen. Thank you very much. Dave, you have more patience than me. DirecTV, gonna go direct to Vamoose if I can't watch game day next week. Ain't got time for billionaires who can't play nicely. We just said the same exact thing, sir. I said 1 week. We're saying next week. If
He's
it's
saying
not on
he
my
doesn't
screen.
even have till next week. He said
if I can't watch game day next week, he ain't got time. He gonna have to roll. And I'm saying that. I'm giving them till Monday Night Football for them to. I don't think they're that crazy. They understand the millions and billions of dollars that are at stake for football. All right. So if you just want to lose all those customers, of course. But I'm
never understood.
Fair point.
I've never understood.
I can't argue that. I can't argue that, man. All right, let's get into some trade talks, man. Because Will, I saw a trade idea that I thought was pretty interesting, and I wanted to run it by you, sir, because you are Will the Go Gottlieb, and you know these things. So, writer for the Sporting News where I saw this at, Colin King offered a trade idea for Zach LaVine that sends him to the Miami Heat. Thank you, Joey. As you can see the trade right there, the Heat will receive Zach LaVine, while the Bulls will receive Duncan Robinson and Terry Rozier. King went on to write, Miami is another potential landing spot for LaVine. The Heat need more offense, and Miami has multiple combinations of contracts that they could send to Chicago to make this deal work. For Chicago, turning LaVine's monstrous $138 million contract over the next 3 years into two separate 2-year contracts will give the Bulls more flexibility for their rebuild. For Miami, adding LaVine to a core of Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and Tyler Hero would enhance the Heat's contention chances as Butler enters the final stage of his career. Essentially, what Miami was looking to add with Rozier, it would add a better version by acquiring one Zachary Attackery LaVine. Will the Go Gottlieb, sir, first of all, is this trade doable? And secondly, would you do this trade?
It is doable. It would be $43 million outgoing to Miami, $44.3 million coming back in. That would take the Bulls slightly over the luxury tax, but they would also have to clear out a roster spot. We know Onur Alpatim is a partial guarantee. They waive him before the start of the NBA season. That's completely off the book. So that could keep them under the tax with 15 players on the roster. That is a check. So yes, it works. And I actually really like this for both teams. Look, it's not like exciting, right? Terry Rozier and Duncan Robinson doesn't really like get you hyped up about what the Bulls' future could be. But what it does do, as the writer pointed out, it breaks the contract up into 2 smaller ones. Each of those could be moved. We know Terry Rozier got traded for a first-round pick last year, so maybe you flip him again for another first-round pick, if that's possible. Making less than $25 million a year, I'm sure there would be teams that are interested there. And then Duncan Robinson, same thing. I think you could flip him if you wanted. You also could use that floor spacing because you've got now these young players that need space to operate. And I feel like that's the kind of guy who could really create some space with his movement, with his shooting, and just coming off screens and stuff. I think he could be pretty useful there, but then you flip him for something else. So that's, I think, the kind of deal that, I mean, it doesn't like completely free the Bulls and like untie their hands in terms of clearing out $43 million of cap space right now, but it's 2-year contracts instead of a 3-year contract. It's 2 smaller contracts that you could flip into other things or break up even more, as opposed to one that is really immovable right now. I think it makes sense for Miami too, in the sense that, like, I mean, they are always looking for star power. We know this about the Heat. That's Pat Riley's MO. But I think it's just like a great opportunity for a team to buy low on Zach LaVine, because this is going to be their last chance. Zach's going to come back and he's going to be good next year. He's going to score 20 plus. He's going to have 4-4, 5-5. He's going to shoot close to 50, 40, 85 like he always does. And as soon as that happens, he's not going to be available for free. He's going to be a big contract, but a good player on a big contract is movable. A bad player or injury-plagued player on a bad contract is not. And that is the predicament that the Bulls are in right now. So I'm not saying the Bulls could do better than this if they waited. Maybe they could. But to me, this is the kind of situation that would, I think, help both teams immediately. But allow the Bulls to move on, too. I don't really know what the, like, how you quantify that in terms of, like, how many draft picks is it worth for the Bulls to be free of Zach LaVine, even though it doesn't necessarily mean that their cap sheet is more open. But it does open it up a little bit earlier. I don't know. I think I would be up for this just because I think it's time to move on. Again, I think Zach has been really, like, unfortunately perceived by, like, the media in general consensus at this point. I think he's going to be a good player. I think he'd be fantastic next to Bam and Jimmy in Miami. And I think it would just help the Bulls kind of start fresh a little bit, which is something that they clearly need.
So I guess let me look at it from the Heat's perspective, because you're right. I think the fit is nice. Jimmy Butler has shown, like, during the regular season, he doesn't mind somebody else kind of helping him carry that load until it gets to that playoff time, and then he kind of, go does his thing. And Zach could be that kind of player for them. He wanted Tyler Hero to be that guy, but Tyler Hero, just hasn't been that guy, and his body kind of betrayed him.
He's a good player. He's just not as good as Zach. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. He's a great player, just not
on Zach LaVine's kind of level. So I want to know, though, does this make them? What kind of team does this make them in your eyes? What do they elevate to in the Eastern Conference, or do you feel it even elevates them at all?
So I think what's interesting about this is that, like, and maybe a reason why they wouldn't do it is because what you sacrifice in depth by getting Zach, like, is Zach's star power, is he so much better than Tyler Hero that he offsets the now lack of floor spacing from Duncan Robinson? It also prevents you from maybe having the flexibility to go out and make other trades. Like, maybe they flip picks and Rozier and Duncan Robinson into somebody that they like even more. So I do think it handcuffs them a little bit, but in general, I mean, I definitely think it makes them a better player. I think you're right to say that he could take some pressure off of Jimmy. I could see him really being successful with, Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo and, like, dribble handoffs and situations like that. And then, of course, like, you cannot be a player who doesn't defend at a high level if you're going to play for Miami.
That's true.
And we know Zach's going to, like, work hard, but to put him into a defensive structure that I think would help him be his best defensive self, I think that would go a long way. And I think that would help really turn kind of the perception of him from, like, this losing injury prone player to a really talented player who's the second or third or fourth best player on a good team, which is what he would be in the situation.
Yeah, and I think he kind of has elements of his game and personality that kind of fit that Heat culture.
Totally.
Zach bust his ass. He's always
he really does.
Very, very hard,
I think people don't understand how hard of a worker he is.
I completely agree, man. So I think, and looking at it from the Bulls' perspective, getting a guy like Terry Rozier, I mean, you're like, What about Bulls fans who are like, dude, another point guard we're putting back here on our squad? I think if they do something like this, then Terry Rozier is the one more so than Duncan Robinson, who wouldn't be long to be on this kind of roster. Because Duncan Robinson, you can cheat with him. Like, he has already shown that he can sit on the bench for a period of time and, still be Duncan Robinson when he comes off the bench. That means being a 3-point shooter, you know what I'm saying, coming off of those screens, you know what I mean?
Or spacer,
right. He's that kind of player. Like, that will never leave him. So it doesn't bother him. But a guy like Terry Rozier has always shown to be a dude who has to be on the floor. And when he's on the floor, I mean, he's going to provide. I mentioned when I was typing it out here in the rundown, just his stats with the Heat, the 16 a game with the 4 rebounds, the 4 assists, 42% from the field, but 37% from 3. That's solid numbers from a dude who played 30 games, with them. Played 30 also with the Charlotte Hornets, who put up kind of similar numbers. And he, again, a guy who fit that culture, you know what I'm saying, with the Heat. He kind of fits that culture here with the Bulls, but I just don't see that room for him, though, Will. Like, being on the team with all the point guards we have, with all the guys we want to get playing time, including guys like Lonzo Ball, like, I don't know where Terry Rozier would kind of fit. Would it be more room for him because Zach LaVine wouldn't be there and you can kind of cheat with whatever many guards you want to cheat with because Zach is gone?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see this trade as like we upgraded our situation.
Right.
It's more just like you got off of Zach and now you can try to package those guys down the line.
Okay.
Or flip him again. There are restrictions on if you acquired a guy in a trade, you can't aggregate him with another player for, I think, 30 or 60 days. So you wouldn't be able to trade him right away unless it was a 1-for-1 or for a draft pick or something like that, which I think they should try to do. But to me, this is more like a helping you get to the next thing as opposed to this is now the complete puzzle, right?
Agreed.
Like this is not the last puzzle piece that you're looking around on the floor for that you couldn't find that was like under the rug somewhere.
Agreed.
This is the like, okay, we're going to turn him into something else that could be that piece down the line. And I think, we saw this with the Hornets last year where Rozier was like, in those 30 games, he played nearly 36 minutes a game. He averaged 23, 4 rebounds, 6.5 assists. When you put up big numbers on a bad team, people notice it, and then they'll be willing to trade a first-round pick for you. So I think that's the situation that the Bulls are in with Zach too, is like, are you going to put the ball in his hands and let him just put up a bunch of numbers and hope you can get a pick for him? Or do you have to rehab his value while also putting the ball in Kobe's hands and Giddey's hands and kind of marginalizing Zach? And I think that's the challenge that the Bulls face this year with having to retain Zach. And I think it would be a similar situation if they did this trade and had Rozier. I think Robinson is an easy fit with just about anybody because he moves off the ball, he shoots, he doesn't need the ball in his hands. But I think with Rozier, it'd be a similar situation, just a different face and maybe a little bit of an easier move on the contract just because it's $25 million instead of $43.
I get that. Maddie Legend in the comments saying, I refuse to help Miami. I will die with my stubbornness. Sir, you are a scholar, and I truly, truly like you, and your name is amazing. Rob says, approve. Let's watch the Kobe-led Bulls tank. Brazil Popular says, don't see them sending Terry. Who would be their point guard? I guess he means the Heat. That's a good question, though, Will. Like, who would run the point for that Heat squad? Or would they just say, Zach, here's the ball?
I think it's going to be – they kind of like – I mean, Rozier's not really even a true point guard either. No. It's like more of a system.
Sure.
Like Bam plays some point guard. He brings it up. Tyler here. It's really like whoever's getting into their dribble handoffs. But that's like more from a scoring perspective anyway. So that's why you see guys like Tyler Hero have success, or Max Strus or Gabe Vincent, like completely. Caleb Martin is another great example of guys that really thrive in that system because it's just like read and react and pick and roll. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a Tyus Jones table setter kind of point guard situation.
Yeah.
You can just be a scorer playing off of Bam and coming off those screens. And then obviously they've got Jimmy as kind of like their steady hand, give him the ball in the fourth quarter and let him create. So I think that would be fine for the Heat to just have another one of those guys who could really create at a high level. But I think you automatically put him in situations where he can succeed because he's not having to create that advantage for himself. I think that's where Zach has struggled, is like the decision-making with the ball in his hands.
Yes,
now
very
it's
much so.
Come off a screen, get the ball from Bam. You've got an advantage going downhill with the screen and roll. So I think it'd be good with Miami. And then here, like Rozier would just be kind of another complimentary scorer. They've already got their point guard situation with Giddey and Kobe.
Plenty of point guards we got, man. Point guards and point guards and point guards. We're going to take another break right here. When we come back, Hoops Hype, top 30 centers. Let's find out what Joey Spathis thinks about where Nikola Vucevic ends up, ladies and gentlemen. Come on back, tune on in, hang on out with Big Dave. Will the Go Gottlieb will be here. But first, this is Baby Joey approved, who Joey just saw this weekend, so I know it's super approved. Get ready for the season ahead with those quality shades that are built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have got you covered with those premium polarized shades that will not, I repeat, will not break the bank. Shady Rays Independent Sunglasses Company offering that world-class product that's rated 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars for over 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames. Their shades have crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for your outdoor. And I promise you, Matt Peck is somewhere showing you your indoor adventiones. Shout out to Will Go Gottlieb. Tell me it's a word. They have hundreds of options to choose from, so you're bound to find the perfect pair to match your style. And even if you don't love your shades, oh my God, exchange them for a new pair or return them worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop, and their team always, and I mean always, has your back with that personnel and that fast support. So exclusively for the listeners out there, Shady Rays is giving away their best deal of the season. Head to ShadyRays.com. Use the code CHGO to get yourself 35% off of those premium polarized shades. And try it for yourself. The shades that are rated 5 stars with over 300,000 people. Because the Shady Rays, y'all, with a raise, are just oh so shady. Shout out Lawrence.
We mentioned Matt Peck, who's probably he's on PTO this week.
Yes.
He's up in Michigan or floating on a river somewhere in a Rugged Road cooler, just hanging out and floating around.
You know it is.
If you want to know more about him, Rugged Road is dedicated to creating innovative and durable outdoor gear for adventurers who demand the very best. Their products are designed with the highest quality materials and craftsmanship, ensuring they perform in the toughest situations. Whether you're on land or water, Rugged Road is built to accompany you on every adventure. Here's why. Floatability. One of the most unique features of the Rugged Road cooler is their ability to always float upright. You never lose a drink. That just has Matt Peck written all over it. They're lightweight in their design. Unlike many other heavy-duty coolers, Rugged Road coolers are incredibly light, and that makes them easy to transport on any trip without compromising on performance. They're also durable and dependability. Crafted to handle the toughest environments, their coolers are built to last, ensuring they can keep up with any adventure. Their coolers are guaranteed to keep their contents cool for up to 7 days, but oftentimes much longer than that. They're also versatile, Big Dave. They're perfect for a variety of outdoor activities, from fishing to tubing to camping to tailgating. They are designed to meet the needs of every outdoors or sports enthusiast. So gear up for your next adventure with Rugged Road coolers. Reliable, durable, and built to be used. Rugged Road is your ultimate outdoor companion. Head to ruggedroadoutdoors.com and use code CHGO for 10% off.
What? Shout out to the canoolers.
Shout out to the canoolers.
All right, let's get into this, man. HoopsHype has been dropping off their list of the top 30 players at each position in the NBA. And they're finishing it up with this one right here, the top 30 centers in the NBA, ladies and gentlemen. Might as well start at the top because I think that's just an easy one to just throw out at you, and that's Nikola Vucevic? No, I'm just playing. The Joker, ladies and gentlemen, top center in the NBA. I mean, I don't even think that's an argument, Will. We don't need to waste time on that.
I think the only argument is, is he still the best player in the league?
Yes,
and
correct.
Not just the best center. And I think right now he has to be.
I'll argue that it's Luka. I'll argue it.
That's the only argument, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, Shea, obviously Embiid are in there. I think Wembanyama by the end of this upcoming season is going to be making a case.
Yeah.
But right now, I still think, 3 MVPs in 4 years, a title, a finals MVP. His numbers are outrageous.
Yeah.
Carrying his, Serbian national team in the Olympics. He's just one of one.
That's true.
And I think he's clearly the best center in the league. I think he's still the best player in the league, but I think it's definitely a conversation, maybe more than the last couple of years.
It's a great point with the national team linking his team to that bronze medal, and they were super excited.
Yeah, and it's like him and Bogdan Bogdanovic. It's they're not flush with NBA stars up and down the lineup like some of these other teams are. So he is just incredibly special and just so much fun to watch too. The way he sees the game, his creativity. Yeah. For the guy that looks the way that he does, to have such a dominant game is really fun to watch.
Yeah, to look the way he does and to move the way he does and to play not a guy that's above the rim or anything like that. Just incredibly fundamentally sound and just with a court vision that I mean, you could rival his Jason Kidds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's really
I
that
do wonder,
special
like,
on the offensive
where
end.
is he all time as a passer?
Oh, it's a debate I honestly have been having with people because, I'm a huge
As a
Jason
center,
Kidd fan.
obviously number one.
Yeah. I'm not even
But
on that
I'm
level
talking
of
about point
centers.
guards. Like, we're talking Stockton, Nash, like,
Exactly.
Kidd.
This
all
is
these
the
guys.
debates I'm having.
These are the debates.
And the one, because I always put Kidd ahead court vision because I consider court vision both sides of the floor. And I don't think he can match Kidd's court vision on the defensive end at all. But on the offensive side, I was like, it's either a tie or maybe he's a hair better or Kidd is a hair better. You can argue those things for sure. When I spoke to Kendall Gill Flex, he also kind of agreed with that. And saying that, no, he feels Joker's up there, like at least tied with Jason Kidd.
For best
as far
of all
as,
time.
It's like court vision is concerned. I think Magic is considered number one.
Passer.
You know what I'm saying? Right. Passer with the court, with his vision that he has. I think he's considered number one. You want to argue Nash, you could definitely throw him in there for sure. Like I said, Kidd, I would put in there. I argue Rondo all the time in this because I thought his vision was just outstanding on the floor. But Joker is such an anomaly. Just a dude who's a 7-foot-tall Serbian who is not playing above the rim, who's not running that fast pace down the floor. But it doesn't matter the pace he runs at. He already seen the play 3 plays ahead. So he's that kind of smart and that kind of IQ to go along with a dude that's that big. Just look at the people around him that he's made better. Like Aaron Gordon is just so much better basketball player. Michael Porter Jr. just found so many wide open shots. Like Jamal Murray's life was made so much easier with him being on the floor. Like he didn't have just these huge names around him, but he made them all better and was able to help them get to that NBA championship. And I mean, nobody could stop him that year. I remember that year. Like he was the best player on earth.
And he's been that good for 3 or 4 or 5 years.
Yeah,
I mean,
bro.
He's on another level. Like in terms of the longevity of his career, we could spend a whole hour talking about Jokic, so we don't need to. But
it's okay.
Right now, he is 84th on the all-time assists leader list with 4,667 assists. Number one is never going to be caught. That is John Stockton, 15,800. Next closest, 12,000 is J. Kidd.
Damn right.
And Chris Paul, LeBron, Steve Nash after him.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not got the massive assist numbers to match with those guys, but in terms of court vision, and just like peak as a passer, he's got to be right up there.
Yeah, and I mean he gets extra points as you stated just for being a center.
Yeah,
and we're having this discussion right here. So no, he's special, and I'm honored to sit there and witness this man play. He's special.
And it's also not like, I mean, not to take anything away from Stockton, but like it was very
take it away.
It was scripted, right? It was like
Yes.
pick and roll, pick and pop with Malone.
Yes,
He wasn't like passing guys. I mean, he was an incredible passer.
Incredible.
All time. I mean, I don't want to.
Great court vision. No,
really,
I get
like,
what you're saying.
And
I
same
get
with
what you're saying.
like the creativity there with Jokic. He's creating offense for guys, not like facilitating offense. And I think that counts for something too. You think about like LeBron, Chris Paul is the same way. You know, I just think what Jokic is doing, the quality of his passes are maybe of a higher level than some of these other guys. Not saying who, but just he's up there for sure.
Higher than John Stockton. I said it. I'll say it. Don't worry about it. He's better than Stockton. I don't care nothing about that. All right. Number 2, Joel Embiid is the number 2 center on this
we were
list.
talking about centers.
Yes. Number 2, Joel Embiid, MVP. Was actually having an MVP year again until he got hurt.
More points than minutes played.
Dude, he was balling out of control. So shout out to him. He's excellent. Came home with the gold medal. Along with this gold medal winner also at number 3, which was Anthony Davis at number 3. Number 4 is where it gets interesting for me. Victor Wembanyama at number 4 and Domantas Sabonis at number 5. Will, do you have any issue with that top 5?
Whew. I don't think so right now.
Okay.
Like I said, I think Wembanyama, he could be number 1 at the end of this year.
Yeah,
This
could
dude
be.
is just such an absolute freak.
Could be. Having Chris Paul is going to help.
He is
a
a
lot.
game breaker. Having one of the top 3 passing, point guards of all time on his team is certainly going to help. But he just is a complete game breaker. He has lived up to the hype that was so incredible.
Yeah.
Like the amount of hype that he had coming to this last draft, it's really crazy that 30 teams weren't trying to tank to go get him.
Agreed.
He is just an absolute one-of-one player. I cannot wait to see how he grows. But I think for now, Embiid, it's like if he has another season where he has to have a meniscus procedure and he plays 45, 50 games and they lose in the second round of the playoffs, I don't know. Like,
what do you do with him and just the way that he has gone these last couple of years? I think Anthony Davis had one of his best seasons last year,
without a doubt.
Quietly, but still, Lakers were a playing team, even though he and LeBron had some of their best seasons. So, yeah, I think Wembanyama is going to rise. I wonder about Sabonis with DeMar now, how the offense is going to flow with him. But I think in terms of the top 5 right now, I think that's the list, and I think it's pretty much in the right order.
Okay. I think, and to your point also, I think injuries and health might be one of the reasons Victor Wembanyama kind of moves up on Embiid and Anthony Davis. We got to see if those guys can stay healthy enough to keep those spots right there. Because if not, like you said, Victor is right there, bro. He's coming.
There's injury-prone guys, which obviously Embiid and Davis are. But then there's also like these workhorse guys that just never get hurt until they do. So that could happen to anyone, especially as they get older. All these guys are now, I think Jokic is still 29, but Embiid's in his 30s, AD's in his 30s. Sabonis is nearing 29 area. So all these guys are kind of at the kind of top of their prime in terms of like their career arc. That's when you're supposed to be playing your best basketball. And a lot of times, especially with guys that big, you unfortunately have injuries. And so hopefully they stay healthy, but I agree. I think Wemby's got a ton of runway to really climb up this list.
Yeah, he could be special. And shout out to Sabonis, man. Real special. Number 6 was Bam Adebayo coming in at number 6. Number 7, Rudy Gobert.
Gobert.
Number 8, Will to Go Gottlieb's guy, Sengun. He's God. No, he's loving seeing that day. Oh,
you know
sorry,
who I
Joey
love
taking credit for it like that? You want your credit, Joe?
He's got him on the fantasy team.
Not credit.
I keep trying to
he's Will's guy by claim, but he is on my roster on the fantasy league. So
Will can't get no love, man.
Well, Will can have love.
You
but
do
if
have
he
to
wants him to
respect
be
Joey,
Will's
though,
guy,
because Joey's set the bar so high for trade talks that I actually do think he has become Joey's guy.
All right, Joe. We'll give it to you, Joe.
But the guy behind him is my guy. That's Chet Holmgren. And I think he's another one that I think his like counting stats are going to go maybe down a little bit this year. They bring in Isaiah Hartenstein to play alongside him. I think like that'll hurt his rebounding. It'll hurt. Maybe he won't be like the back line of defense as much because Hartenstein will be down there. But man, this guy's special 7'2".
Yeah.
Ball handling, shooting, shot creation. He can just do it all on top of being an elite rim protector. So I'm very high on Chet.
Yeah, like you see the bits and pieces of Kevin Durant in his game. I mean, just the skinny frame and kind of how he moves and things like that, and the shooting ability. But yeah, the defense is, I think, just what sets him apart, because that dude, even though he, has that frame, now he's not scared to get in there and mix it up with you, man. Like he'll use every bit of that 7'2" frame to play some pretty good defense on you, man. So no, Holmgren's going to be a problem. Like they're going to be a real issue.
He and Wembanyama will be facing off head-to-head in the 2028 Olympics.
Oh man,
as the starting centers for their respective countries.
That's fair. That's fair. And rounding out that top 10, NBA champion Kristaps Porzingis. Well, you got any issue with that 5 to 10?
I think it's a respect thing. He obviously won a championship. He's a great, talented player.
Yeah.
The last year, not this past season, but the one before in Washington, he really kind of broke out and had like his best season.
He did.
But he's an incredible player, 7'3", just absolute lights out shooter. The way that he warps defenses on that Celtics team, where you just have to have, you can't have a big out there because he'll stretch you out, and you can't have a guard out there or a bigger wing out there because he'll shoot right over you. So he, especially in that Celtics system, is just unbelievable. I think that makes sense. I'm unless I'm forgetting someone, I like that top 10.
Okay, well, let's keep going. Let's see if you forgot anybody. Number 11, Miles Turner, coming in strong at number 11. I've always liked Miles Turner. I always felt like he should be better than what he is. Shout out to the Longhorns.
Joey's not paying attention. Hook him.
Oh, you didn't say the right word. You just got to say hook him, and he'll respond. But yeah, I always feel like he's better than what he shows, man, because he'll have stretches and flashes where he's just elite out there, especially when the 3-point shot is going in. Like he becomes stretches where you just can't really be stopped. Yeah. And I wish that would continue on for him a little bit more, because it's really nothing he can't really do out there on the floor. He can shoot, he can pass, he can rebound, he can score inside. He's got a little mid-range game, a little bit back to the basket. Like,
and the pick and pop with Halliburton is
oh my
so
God.
Nice.
Yes, man.
Yeah, I think hit the real thing for him is like obviously health, but consistency with the jump shot. Like if that's not falling, sometimes I think he gets a little bit lost. He's not quite as good of a rim protector as he was his first few years in the league, where he was like leading the league in block shots.
Yeah.
But he's still incredibly effective. and he's on a great contract. Like the Pacers did a great job keeping him and locking him up as part of their core. And now I think they're going to have to, they like kind of did an renegotiate and extend with him a couple years ago, if I recall correctly. And now he's coming up on another contract, but 17-7 with 2 blocks. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So he's really, I think, also evolved as an offensive player, to your point, Dave.
Yeah.
He came in the first few years, it was like 12, 14 points per game and like 3.5 blocks.
Correct.
Now it's 18, 19, 17 points per game, maybe a little bit less rebounding, a little bit less block shots, but very much more dynamic as a scorer. And I think that's really helped the Pacers turn their offense up 10 gears the way they did last year.
Sure. That 3-point shot changed a lot for him once he started developing it. Number 12 was my guy, Jared Allen, coming in at number 12.
So steady.
Hook him again. Thank you very much.
Come on with it. Joey's on fire. Oh, man. I mean, just a walking double-double out there. I mean, a guy who can get 20 and 20. And, I mean, will dunk on you. He is an elevated version of Daniel Gafford. It's how I kind of like
There
to
was
say
a
it.
game last year where the Bulls were playing them, the Cavs, and I can't remember exactly what the injury situation was, but I'm pretty sure, like, Donovan or Garland and Mobley were out. I think it was just one of the guards and Allen.
Right, and Max Strus was out there.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember. And they destroyed
And I just
the
remember,
Bulls.
you'd catch pass, like, at the free throw line or elbow extended, like, just turn and dunk. Like, not even, like, dribble once.
Yep.
He's just so big and towered over everybody on the Bulls. And so, obviously, like, that size, but great defensive anchor. Just really, overall, very solid player.
Yeah, very solid player, man. When his name came up after trade talks with the Nets, that's who I wanted. I wanted him on the Bulls, man. I thought he'd be great. So, yeah, and he's a great person. Shout out to him just as a human being. And the hair is exquisite. Number 13, lucky number 13, Nikola Vucevic. Number 13 coming in. This is definitely a slide for him because on this list last year, he came in at number 7. So he was within the top 10. But this year coming in at number 13. And I mean, if you were just an outside kind of guy looking in, just looking at his numbers, just the 18 a game with the 10 rebounds, shooting 48% from the field, you're like, those are numbers that you can be a top 10 center in this league. But we're on the inside kind of looking at it. So we saw a lot of his game and what was kind of lacking for him this year, man. But how do you feel at Vooch being number 13 on this list?
I think he's actually just like a really interesting case study of like how you value players that are clearly not like A1, premier all-star guys anymore, but still command the ball in their hands compared to a clearly lower guy. I'm thinking of like a Clint Capella type, or even like a Hartenstein or a Dirk Lively, kind of like the rim roller who doesn't really do as much, but has a very defined role, is a specialist in that role, and succeeds at a high level. Like, I think there's an argument that you could make where obviously like in a vacuum, Vooch is a more talented player.
Yeah.
But for what the Bulls need or for what X team needs, that other role, the rim roller, the lob catcher type, the rim protector type, is more valuable. And so I think that's the situation that the Bulls find themselves in. They brought in Vooch to be a player who they could run offense through like Jokic. And, it is what it is. It turned out the way that it did. I think that trade looks a lot differently if just it was 1 pick instead of 2.
Yeah.
That really would change things. But that's not on Vooch. That's on the front office. So, I mean, I like Vooch a lot as a person. I think he is a solid player. He definitely is not as good as he used to be. And you can just tell by the shooting numbers last year that has been on a decline.
Yeah.
But I think just in terms of like in a vacuum skill is different than how does he fit on your team. And center is a position where I think that becomes really hard to tell which is more valuable. And so I could see Vooch being a little bit higher than this. I could see him being much lower depending on what your team's needs are.
They went on to say, talking about Vooch, although his production remains pretty decent, averaging 18 and 10, the double-double is no joke after all, his impact to winning has been pretty poor over recent seasons, particularly due to his bad outside shooting and lackluster defense. Vucevic used to be able to score and rebound well enough to be hugely impactful on a nightly basis, but that hasn't been the case over the past 2 campaigns, as the Chicago Bulls have been 7.2 points per 100 possessions worse with their starting center on the floor since the 2022-23 season. Joey, your guy at number 13, Do you feel like this is exactly where he belongs, or he should be a little higher, or he should be a little lower on this list?
Yeah, it's close. I think in a different scenario he might be higher on the list, and so
Okay.
I think that he could be higher on the list on this new look Bulls team. He'd probably be lower on my list if it was but that's not the question. You know, who you're going to start your team around today.
Sure.
And I just think a lot of people see this differently. I was going back and forth with somebody on Twitter the other day, and you know, I'm not really sure. I could see Vucevic having a bounce back season on the new look Bulls, but could I see him ending up, you know, in these rankings next year below a guy like Jalen Duren? Yeah, for sure. Because I think those guys are ascending and, like Will talked about, bring a specific skill set. So maybe they're a little bit more in a box in the way that you have to play with them on the floor. But if you're really athletic, you can really, you know, roll to the rim and vertically space the floor.
Yeah.
And you can really protect the rim. Those can you know, really raise your ceiling at that position. So I think it's probably an appropriate place for him, and I'm curious to see how the rankings will look next season.
Yeah, I am too. And
Also,
you can't scoff at 18 and 10. You know what I mean?
Correct.
That's 18 and 10, bro. That's not simple and easy to get in the NBA. And when that's your bad season, that kind of says about how good you really were when things are really clicking for you, especially that 3-point shot when those things were going on for him, and his passing as well. I thought there were many times that I called him the best passer on the Bulls in a couple of these seasons that occurred, man, because he is really good at finding that, getting you 4 or 5 assists a game like that. So we'll see if he can find his way back. Maybe I'm hoping this is not just a decline for his career, because 18 and 10 is not a decline to me. So we'll see. I'm interested to see what he's going to look like this season, and even if he stays this season.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at some of those numbers here. So in terms of EPM, estimated plus minus, he is 49th among centers, not starting centers, obviously.
Okay.
There's not more than 30 starting centers in the league.
They're not?
But guys like Xavier Tillman, Walker Kessler, Nick Claxton, Luke Cornett, Jalen Duren, Jonas Valanciunas, Ayton, Trace Jackson Davis, Naz Reid, Al Horford, Andre Drummond, Jakob Poeltl, Dwap Reith, Day'Ron Sharp, Jaren Jackson, Paul Reed, Brick Lopez, Mitchell Robinson, Jock Landale, Ivica Zubats, Goga Badatse, Derek Lively, Isaiah Jackson, Wendell Carter, Bam Adebayo, Draymond, Gafford, all these guys. And those are not even the whole list. You got Embiid, Jokic, Hartenstein, Davis, Wembanyama, Porzingis, Holmgren, Love, Nurkic, Sabonis, all guys that have graded out better than him. And I think it goes to show that as good as that 18 and 10 is, and it is good, it doesn't necessarily translate to production in terms of winning games. And that's not all on Vooch, because it was the system.
Sure.
It was his teammates, it's the rest of the conference and things like that. So I don't want to just bash Vooch here, but I do think that there is an argument that he could be much lower just because of how some of these other guys impact the game within their role. I think when you are forced to build a system around a guy and then you can't execute that system, or you don't actually play it that way, you leave this guy who's got this certain skill set kind of out to dry.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, how do you expect him to perform at a high level? And you just want him to, shoot threes, which he's iffy at. He's inconsistent there. So I think some of that is overblown. Like, the Bulls did play through Vooch a lot. He got plenty of post touches.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, he's in his 30s. Like, this is kind of what happens with big men. They start to get a little bit older, their game falls off a little bit, and then that's how it goes. So I think that's maybe a little bit of bias against older players, but I also think it's Vooch has been in decline a little bit.
Yeah, we can't deny those things. Joe, you wanted to add something, or you good? All right. Number 14. Let's move on and finish out this top 15. Actually, finish out this list. Naz Reid coming in at number 14. Shout out to Naz Reid, man. Number 15, DeAndre Ayton, who we forgot about because he's in Portland pretty much, but still put up 16 and 11, shot about 57% from the field, man. He's on a bad team. He's going to get those numbers and he's going to get those touches, but that's kind of what he's always put up. But I think not hearing from DeAndre Ayton is a good thing.
How would you compare Naz Reid and Vooch?
That's what I was just thinking.
I'm thinking about that in my head. Naz Reid, who was
one has a 3-point shot that is
consistent, and one was the third big on a team, but that went to the went to the Western Conference Finals and was playing key minutes, was closing games. That's a guy where, even though he might be right that he rates one below Vooch, like, I think that I would rather Naz Reid be the starting center for the Bulls this year. I think most Bulls
so much of it is
like
what's his situation?
Correct,
and what's
correct,
his contract?
100%.
Him being able to come off the bench.
Right.
Naz,
You don't think
if
Naz Reid was in Vooch's position, I think he's above that on the list.
Yeah, probably.
Interesting.
And
okay.
also Naz Reid making $12 million versus Vooch making 20. I think that's a big difference too.
Yes.
And it's not fair to the player for them having to say, no, I don't want as much money. They're never going to do that.
Right.
But that does impact your perception, and it impacts your value around the league because your contract is attached to you as a player. And if you're not playing up to that level of production, it's hard to justify having you there.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Number 16, Derek Lively coming in at number 16. Number 17, Nicholas Claxton. Isaiah Hartenstein coming in at 18. We'll go Gottlieb's guy, who has got the wildest shot that I can't believe it works all the time, but it works. So shout out to him. Brooke Lopez coming in at 19. Shout out to him for still being a top 20 center, for real. And number 20, main man, Daniel Gafford, top 20 center in the NBA.
Get on your soapbox.
Come on. I don't need to get on it right now, but I will.
Do it.
Shout out Daniel Gafford, baby. Oh, your career is going exactly how I thought it would. They doubted you, sir. That's what they did. They doubted you. They thought you couldn't do it. I never, ever doubted you. I knew who you were. I saw the talent. And the fact that you're playing with two of the best point guards in the NBA does not hurt at all either. And playing with Lively, who was number 16 I just mentioned on this list, does not hurt at all either. But still, in fact, 11 points, 7 rebounds, and we already know what he can do with blocking shots, man. So Daniel Gafford's in a great situation. I'm very happy for him. I hope it continues on for him, but he's an awesome player, man. I enjoy him very much. Number 21, Yusuf Nurkic at 21. Jonas Valanciunas coming in at 22. Bobby Portis, they have him on the centers list, shockingly, comes in at 23. Mark Williams coming in at 24. He was a guy, Will, when we were talking about the draft, when you and I used to do that. He was a guy I thought would actually be a little bit more solid than what he's been, but injuries, and things like that will occur.
I mean, he played 19 games last year. I still think he's going to be a very solid player.
Yeah.
Again, very, specific role that he's playing.
Sure.
Drop big, rim protect, rebound, catch lobs, like little short hooks, dunker spot kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But can do all that at a high level, I think, if he stays healthy.
Okay. Clint Capella comes in at 25. Zubac Shakur comes in at number 26. Jalen Duren comes in at 27, man. Like, that dude is going to be really special, like, honestly.
I hope so. He's if you just look at some of his peripheral numbers in terms of block percentage, steal percentage, it's so low.
Yeah.
And it's why is this guy who's an absolute tank of a human being, who's got a 40-inch vertical, who's 6'11", and has long arms, why isn't he getting more steals and blocks? And I think that's a little bit of a concern for him now. In his third year, you would have expected him to figure things out a little bit more on the defensive end. I still think he's got a ton of talent.
Yeah.
And, new coach, new front office, who knows how that all works out. But it's been a disappointing 2 years for him in the league.
I do chalk some of that up to where he plays.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? For the
For
Pistons.
sure.
Really hard to develop on a team that is losing like that. Al Horford comes in at 28. Shout out to him winning the title. Wendell Carter Jr. drops to 29. He's going to be interesting. I don't know how long. I don't feel like he's long to be in Orlando.
Yeah, they seem like they're kind of looking for other options, but I still think he's very solid. He's not going to blow you away, but he's a solid, I think, capable of starting big. I think you could argue to have him higher, but I think you could argue to have a lot of these guys. They're all kind of in this clump of, back end, centers, starting centers.
Well, finishing out the back end, just to let you know about it, Steven Adams, who did not play, comes in at number 30, which means that maybe I could have made this list at number 31, if that's going to be the case, man. But that is your top 30 centers in the NBA, according to Hoops Hype. Let us know how you feel, if you agree or disagree with Vooch being at number 13 and more of that stuff. Because guess what? We're going to be back up in here tomorrow talking some more awesome Chicago Bulls basketball in the NBA in general. And also, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you become a diehard become a diehard. Be a part of what we're doing here at CHGO, at All City in general, man. That tailgate is coming up on Sunday, and it's going to be one. I promise you that. And if you're a diehard, you get 20% off of that, y'all. You get 20% off of all of our live events. Guess what? We're going to London. Guess what? We're going to Phoenix to watch these Bears games. A lot of stuff is happening, y'all. And, of course, the takeovers that we're going to be doing here. Of course, the premium content from the Golden Pen and the perfectly coiffed hair of young Will the Go Gottlieb, only available to the diehards. Come check us out. Come hang with us in the Discord lounge where I'll be talking wrestling with people all the time. It's always fun. So, yeah, be a diehard. Be with the cool kids. Hang out and chill. On behalf of DJ Joey Spathis on the ones and twos, hook 'em, ladies and gentlemen. Hook 'em. Will the Go Gottlieb, Will_Gottlieb. Make sure you go to his page and you fill out that wonderful poll he has up for Bulls fans that'll be up for the next few days. Follow me at Ball Sports, BAWL Sports. Wow. I am Big Dave. We will see you guys tomorrow, man. Enjoy your night. Enjoy your day. We out. Peace. Love.